New for 2025 in Macau is the FIA F4 World Cup, and it is the qualifying session that we are about to have begin here. We've had a few stoppages in earlier sessions, so the timetable has slipped a little, but the drivers have made their way to the pre-grid, and we will be good to go very shortly. The World Cup, a new edition with the F4 cars having raced here in the past, but not in this guise, because there aren't multiple teams. It is one central operation for technical and operational support. It is Mintimes, the company that looks after the Chinese F4 Championship, in association with the FFSA and Ligier. So the cars all run out of one team. Very, very few drivers have raced here before, and it takes you back to the original idea behind the Macau Grand Prix when Formula 3 became the category, with drivers coming from all over the globe onto a circuit for the ultimate shootout. We still have that for the Grand Prix, for Formula Regionale, but for F4 it really has been fascinating to see drivers adapting this weekend. They've had a free practice session yesterday. They've had a free practice session this morning in which we had 2 red flags, and Sebastian Weldon was fastest in FP2. The more relevant, because the conditions are more similar to what we have now. It was the British driver Keen Nakamura-Berta who was second, Emanuele Olivieri third, and Jules Roussel fourth. Now that is the British F4 champion Finn McLaughlin, and the car that he has been in hitherto has had all sorts of problems with him not getting as far as turn 2 yesterday in free practice, and he didn't get a lap in the session this morning because he was constantly in and out of the pit lane and the problems persisted. Now, we, being David Anderson and Alan Hyde, have been in our booth all day, not had a chance to go to the paddock, but there is a story floating around that it's a different chassis, because the one that he has been in has clearly got a problem. So the story is, we can't confirm nor deny yet, but we'll try to get to the bottom of that it's a different chassis, because clearly the problems are insurmountable, try as the team has tried. This driver, though, comes in with confidence up. Sebastian Weldon, whose late father Dan Weldon, of course, was a great racer, first in Europe and then in the States. He was fastest this morning by a pretty narrow margin, and goes into qualifying in confident mode. That's Simon Zhang, the Chinese champion. But I think, Alan, we've been looking forward to this session all weekend because, you know, they're keen young drivers, track knowledge at a premium, and it really is wide open, this.
And we've said it before, these cars, Formula 4 cars, were the cars for the Macau Grand Prix just a couple of years ago, and as soon as they came out and competed in the first session, we both agreed they just look great on the gear circuit. They look small, they look nimble, they're plenty quick enough, and you've got young drivers that are really showing their talents on the world stage for the first time, coming from domestic championships right the way around the world.
Sometimes here, you've been here far more times than I have, but FP1, there's one driver that stands out. I'm thinking Luke Browning, say, in the Grand Prix 2 years ago. Every time the cars hit the track, Luke Browning dominated. These cars have only been on circuit twice, the 2 free practice sessions, but no one driver has dominated. Lots of drivers have been up at the sharp end and trading the top time, but there isn't one driver that you say, yeah, he's going to win this. It really is wide open.
And they have come from every corner of the globe to compete here at Macau this weekend. I am fascinated. In your intro, you said many drivers that are competing here at Macau for the very first time. For Finn McLaughlin, it couldn't be ever more true. He hasn't really done a lap at Macau this year in 2 sessions so far, and I really hope, whatever the solution is, if it's a new chassis, if it's whatever it is, I really hope those problems are complete now for this young man, because he was incredibly impressive in the National Championship back in the UK this year. He was the champion, and now he needs to show us all what he can do.
Yeah, he's done about 2 slow laps with a car that clearly, or an engine that clearly did not want to play ball. So anything from here on in is a bit of a step into the unknown if it's done at a proper pace. But we know how good McLaughlin is, and you think, oh yeah, but he's got a new track to learn. Well, he had to learn all new tracks in the UK and one in Holland, because they raced at Zandvoort in F4. So it's been an impressive season for him. Right, out on track, this is Keen Nakamura-Berta, the British driver, and he has been an impressive driver this weekend. He's always been there or thereabouts. Sometimes he's been at the top, slipped a little bit at the end, down to second in FP2, but Keen Nakamura certainly is on that short list of potential winners as they go down towards Lisboa. Big grandstand on the left, and somewhere there's a gap in the Armco that you fire the car into, and that's the Lisboa corner. Turn right and head up San Francisco Hill. And you hope it all goes according to plan, and Nakamura Roberta has been pretty impressive over a number of laps so far, yesterday and this morning. But that was all about free practice. Now it's qualifying. Now it becomes competitive. And now it really is your chance to stamp your name in the history books of Macau, which is no mean feat. We had a couple of cars in strife earlier on in the day. Emily Cotti was one of the drivers in the barrier, and also we lost Wang Yuzhe. He was in the wall also for our second red flag. But right now, it's about keeping off the wall. It's about building up the warmth in the tyres. It's about building up the confidence. And then you need a banker lap, because you never know what others are going to do to upset your plan. So get a lap time in, because that might ultimately prove to be absolutely crucial to ensure where you are on the grid. Do it early, not late. It's the right level of confidence as well. Overconfidence, and it will all go wrong in this 40-minute qualifying session. But I, for one, really happy to see the F4 cars on the timetable for this weekend. They were super on the first weekend of our double weekender a couple of years ago, celebrating the 70th Macau Grand Prix. Right. And for a good couple of years, they kept us entertained in the absence of formerly F3 cars and latterly Formula Regional cars that we have here. If you think back 2 years ago, the winner of both F4 races at the 70th anniversary weekend was Arvid Lindblad, who's now been a race winner in F2 and drove at Silverstone on the Friday in one of the Red Bull Formula 1 cars. Breaking news, and it's good news, Finn McLaughlin is not pitting. Finn McLaughlin's done a lap. I think this is the first time he's driven over this part of the circuit in the 2 days that he's been here, because he's always been either in the pits or coming down the pit lane. So McLaughlin now finally is on a flying lap for the first time this weekend. He's warming up the tyres. If you watch the British Championship, you'll know how good Finn McLaughlin is. Okay, he starts on the back foot, but finally it looks as though he's got a chassis underneath him and an engine behind him that wants to join in. You would never have thought, would you, going into this weekend, going into qualifying, we'd be saying, let's support the underdog. But that's what he is, because he has not done laps around the circuit. He's a champion in F4 in Great Britain this year, and now he's really up against it. This could be a real headline story if Finn McLaughlin, I'm not sure he's going to be the quickest of all the cars, but I certainly think that he could get the opportunity of grabbing a few headlines with a good qualifying. I totally agree. We've been saying it in FP2 this morning. He's got the ability. You can see everybody largely still weaving around to generate warmth, so nobody as yet has really pulled the pin. We are getting obviously decent sector times, but there's nothing really to judge them against, so the sector times will drop as the session wears on. But almost every camera shot you get, you think, I can't still moving. It's the real terror of seeing somebody in the wall here. Whoops, McLaughlin gets all sideways, so he's having a good push. He really is. It's the first chance he's been able to pull the pin as far as this weekend is concerned. And the good news is that it looks like the car is going okay for Finn McLaughlin, and that is absolutely what he deserves this weekend. Yeah, I agree. And he was the first driver onto a flying lap, so that means that Finn McLaughlin's name actually appears at the top of the timing screen for now. So take a photograph of it. Yeah, it might not happen again, but the way the weekend had been going for him, it's certainly a turnaround. Right, so this will be a flying lap. This is the first time that McLaughlin has done a flying lap around the circuit in 2 sessions. This is really good news, isn't it, for Finn McLaughlin? And we will try and behind the scenes between the end of today, when we are locked away in the commentary box, and the start of tomorrow morning when we get back into the commentary box, to find out the reason what was happening with the car, because it must have been incredibly frustrating and a huge thing for his character to deal with all the frustrations. You can imagine the excitement. Finn McLaughlin goes top, 2:33.939. Okay, I'm going to make the most of that moment. Right, I don't want to rain on anybody's parade. No. However, that time would have been the slowest in FP2. So
yes,
it's a start-up lap. But now we're going to get quicker and quicker and quicker. Already Sebastian Weldon has gone faster still. The times are going to tumble. But this now is a more representative lap, I think, from McLaughlin coming down towards the right of Lisboa then. So he turns into the corner, back onto the power, twitches off away from the wall, but doesn't graze the wall, which is good. And crucially in all of this, he's found clear real estate as well. There's nobody around to get in the way. OK, maybe that's bad in as much as on the first part of the circuit you don't get a tow, but I think right now he would just be very, very happy on his own, learning and gaining a bit of confidence and putting the pace in. So he's coming out of eternity, drops down the hill towards Teddy Yip and the Solitude S's. And Jules Roussel has done an absolute best in Sector 1. McLaughlin has done an absolute best in Sector 2, but he's pretty much the only driver to have got there. Now, Sebastian Weldon goes faster. Now, in Sector 1, McLaughlin did a 26.6, 3/10 down. In Sector 2, he was 4/10 down. So, yeah, we're not yet looking at pole position pace from McLaughlin, but that's no surprise given the travails he's had.
I'm just pleased that he's put in one flying lap, one out lap, one flying lap, and he's on another flying lap. And I'm sure he and his family and the team are very, very relieved about this as well, because, goodness me, talk about strength of character to get through two very disappointing. I couldn't quite believe my eyes this morning when the car sort of limped slowly around the out lap and back into pit lane again after all that time between the end of free practice 1 and the start of free practice 2, and still the problem was there. Just so disappointing.
Well, here he comes, and Finn McLaughlin, even if he only gets himself into the bottom end of the top 10, it'll be a major result after what he's had to go through so far. And he can build on that in the qualifying race. Squeal of tyres as he comes.
He's really pushing.
Yeah, squeal of tyres as he comes into Fisherman's. This is down to R Bend. Car looks like it was a loss, doesn't it, on its own, but he's about to set it up now, flick right through R Bend. The timing line beckons, so Finn McLaughlin comes up over the line, and as he goes through, that lap is going to put him back to the top of the times. It is a 2:27.935. That would have been good enough for 15th in FP2.
In FP2. We're going in the right direction. Can I just remind you, that's his third lap in real life around the gear circuit.
Emanuele Olivieri comes out of the left of Reservoir. This is the fastest driver thus far, a 2:25.719. 2:24 is where we're aiming in terms of a pole position lap. Riding with Olivieri then as he comes out of Mandarin down towards Lisboa. Somewhere in the distance there is a corner. There's the grandstand, that's your clue, but you're looking for the right-hander and you've got to dive in that gap in the wall. This is it, out the other side.
And with the sunshine as well, that it really is, everything is against you, isn't it, going into that blind corner. And very, very impressive, this riding on board with Olivieri. Lovely to see. Now on the tight and twisty section in these nimble F4 cars. I love watching them going around this section. Absolutely inch perfect as they thread their way around. The tiniest of mistakes can be absolutely catastrophic to the car and to the whole weekend as well.
Can indeed, but so far so good. Emanuele Olivieri then drops down the hill. He is the driver that won the Middle East Championship at the start of the season. Heading downhill towards Moorish. Heavy braking zone. There's the left that turns you towards the right, back on the power, climb up the hill, but you have to brake really early for this corner because it's another sharp, tight, narrow right-hander, climb up towards Donna Maria, and this is still a really narrow section of the circuit.
It's narrow and it's a long left-hander as well at Donna Maria. Feels like it goes on forever, and then at the exit of that you go downhill, you head to the no overtaking zone at the Melco hairpin, you turn in, you are so close to the barrier on the exit, and then breathe a sigh of relief because now you can let the car open up. The circuit opens up and so too does the speed.
Now that is Sebastian Weldon with 2 personal bests and an absolute. Olivieri behind on the road but ahead on the times has done 3 personal bests and an absolute, and Olivieri then a 2:25.719 currently the top time. Let's see what Weldon can squeeze out of all of this. Seb Weldon is second fastest. He's done a 2:26.020, and as he goes across the line that was slightly slower, but now Keen Nakamura Berta goes to the top of the times briefly. He did a 2:25.5, Olivieri does a 2:25.4, and Jules Roussel a 2:25.3. So Jules Roussel up to the top of the times. He was the runner-up in the French Championship. The French champion, Alexandre Munoz, is 12th at the moment, and British champion Finn McLaughlin was 8th. He's now been bumped down to 9th. So the order is a shuffling all the time. First 10 minutes of the session done.
How many drivers do we just have at the top of the times? I think there was about half a dozen, wasn't there?
Yeah, and we just added another one. Rintaro Sato has gone quickest now, son of Takuma Sato. That's a 2:25.284. That's Munoz, the French champion, up into the top 10. Why do we focus on him? Well, two reasons. One, he's a champion, but also the other is that he had quite a big off in FP1 yesterday, so he's bouncing back from big damage that was all done on the left-hand side of the car.
Makes me feel incredibly old now. I remember interviewing his father, or I say interviewing, trying to interview his father on the podium after multiple British F3 races, and he didn't speak any English at all.
Takuma Sato.
Takuma Sato. And he would just thank me for the question and wave and smile at the crowd. It was feels like just a few years ago, but it wasn't. How many things have happened to Dad over the intervening years?
Yeah, 2 Indy 500 wins, and yeah, quite a career he's had. Yeah,
and so
whereas you,
so yeah, all right, things are the same. Nothing has changed.
No, quite. So Rintaro Sato from Jules Roussel by 52 thousandths of a second, and at the moment we've got the leading 9 covered by less than a second. That's pretty good on a 6K circuit. And the 9th of them is Thomas Behrman. If this is your first look at F4 this weekend, Thomas Behrman is the younger brother of Grand Prix racer Ollie Behrman. And Finn McLaughlin 12th. But I think there's more to come because sectors 2 and 3 have been improvements on this lap. You're looking at Rintaro Sato in the same colours that Dad carried as well.
I was just about to say, the same colours as single seat at the start of his career. He was good though, wasn't he?
Yes.
British F4, superb.
Yellow flag at turn 16, so we've had a drama heading through Moorish. And
Seb Weldon top.
Yeah, I've got a horrible feeling that we might be going for a red here if the car in question can't get going. We'll wait and see. So this lap for Rintaro Sato is going to be an important one. Jules Roussel has gone fastest now ahead of Seb Weldon. And as the field comes by, Rintaro Sato is down to 5th. He breaks the beam and goes back up to 3rd. So Sato does improve. It's Roussel, Weldon, Sato, Olivieri, Nakamura, Berta, and the road is clear. Hooray at turn 16. So the session is still live. Alexandre Munoz, he is currently 12th for French champion, number 11, but he's done personal an absolute best in the first 3 sectors.
Waiting for sector 4 to come in for the car, currently down in 12th place. Car number 11, Alexandre Munoz, with an overall best in sector 3. And that's the only overall real improvement that we've got. And a look back at that clatter into the barrier. I didn't pick up the which car it was.
No, I didn't. I'm sorry, but the car has carried on despite the broken front left corner. And it might be Munoz because he's not got to the end of sector 4. So having said that Munoz was on a mission, he had done personal and absolute bests, but it looked as though it might have been him that bounced off the wall, and he's not got to sector 4. So he's obviously therefore parked it somewhere.
I think you're right. And
oh, and another one in the wall there, clattering off the barrier in front of us as he ends up towards the corner. Didn't again spot a number, apologies, but we've got a yellow flag at turn 16. Or was it 26 that we just saw bounce off the barrier there? So it was the left corner that took the whack. And Ryan Caretti, I think it was, that raised the barrier pretty significantly. Right, this is the yellow flag zone.
Can I just have a moment for a Macau driver, please? Because Chung Man Hai in car number 2 has just gone overall best in sector 1.
Right, this is Seb Weldon coming toward the end of the lap. Yeah, you're right. Marcus Chung is on a good lap here from 18th, and Sebastian Weldon on his own, coming up towards the right-hander of our bend now. Another driver going nicely is the Indian driver, Ariman, or Ari Bansal, the GB4 champion from the UK. Seb Weldon goes through, goes quicker, but stays second. Keen Nakamura Berta goes through, not going any quicker, and therefore staying 5th. Emanuele Olivieri goes through, not going any quicker. You get 3 sets of tyres for the weekend in this red flag, and I think that was possibly inevitable given that we'd had a yellow somewhere and Carl stranded. So the session is stopped, and Finn McLaughlin has just bailed for the pit lane.
He's been in pit lane, yeah. I was about to mention that, and with an update on position, 11th for Finn McLaughlin at the time of the red flag.
That was the one I saw happening, and it was Rayan Caretti, and to get away with that is extraordinary, because by rights that should have ripped the left rear corner off the car. Right, red flag, because there's another one, which I think is Munoz, having gone off at 15, that stopped somewhere, and he needs retrieving.
I think you're right. One of the quick cars as well for number 11. Currently down there in 12th place, Finn McLaughlin in 11th position. And into pit lane already, I think before the red flag came out.
That's not bad. 11th is all right.
It's really good. It's really good. You can race from there, because this, of course, is the opportunity to set the grid for the qualification race tomorrow, tail end of tomorrow morning, 11:40 local time for an 8-lap race. And then they have the big race, the 10-lap race, on Grand Prix day, 9:15. So you can get a good position, make places up.
9:15?
Yes.
This lot are all teenagers. They're never out of bed before 9:15.
I'm not sure we are we?
Alexandra Munoz's car put behind the barrier. It will not take long to get this session back underway, that is for sure, because cars are still coming into the pit lane and the road is clear. So the race direction team can get things moving hopefully pretty swiftly. It's on this part of the track where the incident took place, and I think Alexandra Munoz got about this far and thought, no, it ain't going anywhere. Now, the other downside for Munoz is that he will lose his best lap time because he's caused the red flag, so he's going to slide back down the proverbial greasy pole. Do you want some more bad news?
Not really, no.
Right, well, you're going to get it. Marcus Chung, the driver from Macau, had done an absolute best and then 2 personal bests, but of course could never finish the lap because out came the red flag. So sadly, what should have been an improvement for him, all rather unravelled.
There will be more opportunity for glory, don't you worry about that, because we've still got a huge chunk of this qualifying session left. We're at 24 minutes and 27 seconds in total. Chance for the teams to just check on a few things down in pit lane. A conversation with the team, a check of the front wing. It's the car of Simon Zhang, Hong Kong driver, just having the front of the car checked over, and meanwhile he's checking the live timing and checking the relative whereabouts of everyone else. And in the meantime, you know what, red flags do not deter the enthusiasm of the crowds here at Macau, do they? Far from it.
Gino Trapper, who was in the tyre barrier in free practice, currently 16th. Emily Cotty, who crashed in free practice 2 this morning, 17th. The point being the cars have repaired him out there, and the same is true of Wang Zhuzhe, who went off the road. He is also in this session. 17 is Itsuki Sato. And Jules Roussel, currently the fastest by 0.2 of a second from Sebastian Weldon. Rintaro Sato is 3rd, Emanuele Olivieri is 4th, Keen Nakamura Berta is 5th, and Arai Bansal, coached by Danny Watts, who raced here 13 times in his career, is 6th. Simon Zhang is 7th, Rayan Caretti is 8th, Thiago Rodriguez, another Macanese driver, is 9th, and Tom Behrman is 10th. That is Sebastian Weldon's car being put back into the echelon formation within the pit lane, and the session is going to restart in about 20 seconds time. I said it wouldn't take long to get things back underway.
Good turnaround there.
Yeah, absolutely. 24 minutes and change on the clock, and we are ready to go again.
So the crowd, by the looks of things, very high spirits, aren't they? As we look forward to, after the conclusion of this qualifying for F4 cars, we stay with single-seaters, and no small matter of qualifying for the FR World Cup. The FIA FR World Cup, of course, the cars for the Macau Grand Prix on the 72nd running in 2025. Right, green light down in pit lane, things back underway. 24 minutes remain of this qualifying session, and a fascinating multiple driver battle here. Even at this stage, no one has stood out, have they, head and shoulders above anyone else?
we've got a really strong contingent of very, very good drivers, and that's why this is so fascinating. I know the FIA F4 World Cup was a dream from Emanuele Pirro, the president of the FIA Single-Seater Commission, and I would suggest so far it's been a very good idea because it is wide open. There is not one driver that's coming here and dominating, and it's still a little bit in terms of thinking of a winner, as you see understeering out wide down at Lisboa, number 48 of Gino Trapper. And that's going to bring out a yellow flag, and it might be a red. Oh no, you can get it started, but that's a bit risky going backwards. Hopefully everyone's going to mind the yellow flag. In terms of picking a winner, it's a bit like entry list and pin at the moment. You put one against the other. Green flag is shown, the car gets away, and that's a big sigh of relief all round. But why do people do that on an outlap? I know there's commitment, I know they're all keen to get going again, but just a bit of calm. Number 5, being noted for speeding in the pit lane, that is
Finn McLaughlin. I think he should be applauded
for being able to speed.
Yes.
After the day he's had. I totally concur. Yeah.
I jest, by the way. It's not to be applauded to go quickly in the pit lane.
But the fact the car is capable of going quickly is the point, isn't it?
As Hyde finds reverse very quickly.
Yes, yes. Hyde off. Towards Moorish then come the survivors in the session. It's Alexandre Munoz that caused the red flag. His weekend is, I'm afraid, starting to unravel around him, isn't it? That's his second accident for Munoz in the 3 sessions that he's taken part in thus far.
Right, everybody on the outlap from pit lane on the resumption of this session. 22 minutes just over of this qualifying session for F4 World Cup. And it's Roussel who is top of the time. So Roussel in the number 7 car number 11 under investigation for causing the red flag. That's Alexandre Munoz and the French F4 champion. Crash in FP1 and just caused that red flag, so they'll be looking into that.
There's not a lot to investigate, basically.
Not really.
You caused it, that means you lose your best lap time, so he's going to start even further back on the grid. Right,
let's see what they do as they go on to the first of the flying laps, if you like, not the outlap from pit lane, on board with Keen Nakamura Berta. And it is such a treat to ride on board as you go around the gear circuit here at Macau. Fascinating to hear you yesterday as well, talking about some videos that you've uncovered from many years ago. The way that the whole landscape of Macau has built up over the years, and it's all recorded there, isn't it? It's all there for posterity.
Yeah, it was the Melco hairpin section that really surprised me with how isolated it looked back in, this was video from the late 70s, 78 I think, and now you've got the tower blocks and the buildings all around, but there was just nothing. It was like you were driving out into the wilderness and then turned around and came back again. Now the whole place, the whole area of Macau, so much more developed, and Finn McLaughlin, we're told, is going to be looked at post-session for speeding in the pit lane.
Weekend just gets better and better, doesn't it? Goodness me.
But on track, Keen Nakamura Berta here is pushing on, personal best in sector 2, and we've still got 20 minutes to go. So, oh no, we haven't. Another red flag, because in the barrier is Ryan Caretti. He escaped one, and he's gone off here, and that, I think, is down at Lisboa.
It is, yeah.
So, second red flag, Ryan Caretti. And where was he in the times? He was 8th. He's going to lose his best lap, and therefore he's going to drop down the order.
And that's nestled in there as well, isn't it? It can't just find reverse. Well, he has found reverse, but it's not helping. The wheel's spinning around, and he'll need a bit of help from the marshals there to get the car out, and inevitably the front wing is going to be damaged as well on that car, so not good news. So that time, after that red flag, are you noting these down? We don't know anything more, do we? We didn't get the opportunity to do a flying lap, opportunity to see this nasty moment, the understeering straight on into the barrier at Lisboa, and it's never nice to see.
That was a big panic, I think, when Caretti realised he wasn't going to make the corner. He stood on the brakes, locked up. I know it's easy to say, but take your foot off the brake and go left, he'd have been up the escape road. But I think there was just a mega panic of, eek, what do I do?
all in the moment of milliseconds.
Yeah,
you have to
exactly.
take that decision, and unfortunately, wrong decision taken. So red flag for the second time during this session. And we did say how important it was to put in a lap early on in this qualifying session. We are halfway through. Okay, we're 18 seconds shy of being halfway through this qualifying session for the F4 cars. And those early laps that they put in this first part of qualifying are going to become more and more important. It is the work of a moment to clear a car from various pinch points around the circuit. The 26 car of Coretti already in the air, high above the right-hander at Lisboa. We've seen in other years here at Macau, that becoming quite a car park for collected cars on the inside of that corner. The boom on those crane arms is quite extraordinary. It goes for a good distance around its station at the various corners around the circuit.
This is the man that's fourth in the times, Emanuele Olivieri, and he is only thousandths of a second adrift of Taro Sato. So Ryan Coretti noted for causing a red flag. Finn McLaughlin there explaining what it's like at speed, finally, because now he understands it. Now
he looks like he's smiling, though.
Yeah, I think he's probably a lot happier now.
Relieved, happy, all of those words.
And as we keep saying, from 11th, he can build on that. I mean, there's no guarantee he's going to be 11th, but I would be surprised if he were lower than 11th.
As they come up to him and say, down in the pit lane, we've got some bad news, though. Were you speeding in the pit lane? So we've got to deal with that investigation after the end of qualifying. Well, I'm sure that will be the least of his worries today, because as far as the car going is concerned, he's currently in 11th place in only his first ever real-life laps around the Macau gear circuit. I say real life because these days the simulators are so impressive, and the opportunity of driving around the gear circuit virtually, I'm sure they've been practicing for this for many months heading up towards this event, if not for preparation, for fun, because it is such an amazing circuit for drivers.
But even doing a sim of this, building it to be so realistic, is very difficult as well, because it's not a place you can come and spend time and go round and round and round, or stand in the road and take photographs and look at the bumps, you know, because it's just public roads all year round. Even though they're closed now, they're open again in the evening. It's not that they're closed for the entire 4 days. They open at 6 o'clock tonight.
6 o'clock tonight.
Now, on the timing screen, Finn McLaughlin is under investigation for causing a red flag, and I cannot recall him having done so, because he's not crashed, unless he stopped on the circuit and then got going and we didn't notice. But I'm puzzled.
I'm not sure that's. We've seen a couple of questionable entries on the timing screen over the course of yesterday and today, and I think that might be one of them. Car number 5 is under investigation because.
But it's had its fastest lap time deleted for causing a red flag.
It was speeding in pit lane, wasn't it, that he was under investigation for? I'm not sure it caused a red flag, although that's what we're being told on the timing screen. So maybe something that we don't know about, but we thought Lisboa was the reason for the red flag, and that was not car number 5. It was not Finn McLaughlin. So we'll wait and see. We've got a question mark over that, but and has he had his fastest time disallowed? Still there in 11th place for car number 5. So investigation required.
Puzzle.
All of that said, it's been quite a Macau for Finn McLaughlin, hasn't it?
It's one to remember.
Yeah.
Green light at the end of the pit lane then, so the session is back underway. And Jules Roussel goes back into fray with 20 minutes on the clock. Still half the session to go and 2/10 up on the rest of them. So Roussel, Weldon, Sato, Olivieri. That's the top 4. cars back on track. Bit of weaving to get some warmth back into the tyres, get the pressures back up as well. And hopefully, we're not going to have too many more dramas. Correction, car 26, fastest lap time deleted, causing a red flag. So Finn McLaughlin is okay, and Ryan Caretti, it's another blue car. I think that's the only link I can offer you. But panic over. But the investigation did have McLaughlin's number. Anyway, we move on. Ryan Caretti then falls back to 11th, and that's just promoted Finn McLaughlin one place, because Caretti's best lap taken off him means that Finn McLaughlin is now up into the top 10. So this lap, the out lap, is going to just bring the cars hopefully safely around, ready to start a flyer. And the clock ticks on down all the while here as these Formula 4 chassis, everybody to make the point again with the same car. They're all being run by the same team. They're all these Nigel M21 F4 chassis. They all have Alpine 1300 turbocharged 4-cylinder engines. They're all run by the Chinese Mintimes company. That's the organisation that looks after the Chinese F4 Championship. And right now, the times are about 4/10 down on what we had earlier on in the day in the second pre-practice session. Now, that was from 9:15 until 10 o'clock. So within the time where we are now, local time, it's just gone 2 o'clock. It's a lot warmer, and that perhaps is starting to affect things. We heard a touring car team earlier on in the day talking about how much warmer it is today and how the balance of their cars have completely changed. So it might just be affecting what people thought they had learnt this morning to what they need to translate it to now in qualifying. So Emanuele Olivieri goes downhill into the very bright sunshine. Quick weave left and right to help the tyre temp and pressure. Turns the car now through that right-hander of Fisherman's and down towards R Bend. Still weaving, still trying to generate warmth in the rubber. And there you've got him ready now to start a flying lap as Keen Nakamura Berta does so ahead of him on the road. Bit of a twitch then as Olivieri fights the car out of R Bend, but he goes across the timing line, being chased in turn by, I think it was Kimi Chan's car, I noticed, and also just going through the driver from Macau, Marcus Chung, looking to try to improve on 18th. 19 cars we have, 20 were entered, but Ethan Nobels had a off in an F4 race, I think it was at Interlagos last weekend, and wasn't quite feeling 100%, so withdrew from this weekend. There was talk of trying to put another driver in the car, but that didn't pay off, so 19 we have. But it's been a very competitive 19-strong field as Emanuele Olivieri goes out of Lisboa and has just done a personal best within the first sector. So Jules Roussel ahead of Sebastian Weldon at the top of the order. Weldon, who has been racing in the States, but also in the Middle East Championship and in Italy as well. So 5 wins Sebastian Weldon took. Emily Cotti, I think this is with a toe, has just done the absolute best first sector time. Emily crashed the car earlier on in the day, so that's been a pretty encouraging turnaround. And we'll see what she can do in the second sector as Olivieri powers up the hill, ready to drop down the other side and wriggle his way down towards Moorish. Roussel, Weldon, Rintaro Sato, then Olivieri, and an improving Keen Nakamura Berta, because he's done an absolute best in sector 3. Emily Cotti lost time again, another 3/10 lost in sector 2. So it started well with the toe, I'm pretty sure, but it's unravelled a little bit. Now Olivieri's lap might unravel slightly. The onboard in the timing tower is Keen Nakamura Berta, who's ahead of all of this on the road, and the reason I say it might unravel for Olivieri is because there's another car ahead. Look, coming down to Melco hairpin, that's Nakamura Berta going out of the corner, and Olivieri now finding himself a little bit caught up in traffic. Nakamura Berta should go fastest this time because he has now done 2 absolute best, and there's nobody to get in the way as the car finds a little bump coming down towards Fisherman's. Keen Nakamura Berta, the British driver, fighting now Seb Weldon, who's done 2 absolute bests as well, but Nakamura Berta is ahead on the road, so he will go top, but we'll see for how long he stays there. He comes across the line, and Keen Nakamura Berta goes fastest of all, a 2:24.538 at exactly the moment he's noted for speeding in the pit lane as well. Jules Roussel tilt across the line. Olivieri third as he goes by. And we wait and we wait and we wait to see what Seb Weldon can do. Sebastian is in the last sector of the lap then. Through goes Marcus Chung, the Macanese driver gains a place. Itsuki Sato goes by, stays 12th, and Rintaro Sato goes through to be 5th. What happened to Sebastian Weldon? He's not yet done the last sector. Here he comes. Finn McLaughlin goes by, and Finn McLaughlin is up to 6th fastest then. So Finn McLaughlin gaining places on merit, not with penalties now for others. Across the line goes Sebastian Weldon, and it unravelled in sectors 4 and 5, so he ends up with a slightly slower lap and 4th in the times. Now, Finn McLaughlin is on a 2:25.223. He's 6/10ths away from the top, and he's 6th in the times. I reckon that's a pretty impressive fight back after everything that's been lobbed at him this weekend.
We said possibly he's not, with no free practice laps behind him yesterday or today. Maybe he's not going to be the quickest car out there in qualifying, but he could well take a headline. And I would say that 6th place is a headline story. It's incredibly impressive. Only 10 laps completed in total, and if you bear in mind that everybody else has been able to have 2 40-minute sessions out on circuit, that's a lot more laps than Finn McLaughlin has been able to do.
And at least 2 of those 10 have been pit lane laps,
yes,
because he crosses the beam in the pits. So yeah, they've not all been flying laps. So quite right. This is Emanuele Olivieri, who did a personal best sector 1 but lost out a bit in 2 and 3. McLaughlin, 2 personal bests. So he's just building now. The confidence is coming for him. Gino Trapper still struggling a little bit, and down to the Melco hairpin. Emanuele Olivieri now through the tight right, drops down the hill. And you can see, because of the nature of the buildings, where there's dazzling sunshine and where there's the shade, and you plunge into the brightness and come out the other side, shadows on the ground down towards Fisherman, set the car up, turn right into the sunshine, the road opens out ahead of you, and this is the blast now down towards the R bend at the end of the lap. This is Emanuele Olivieri. He is 3rd, as across the line has just gone Nakamura Berta, still at the top of the times. Nobody has dislodged him yet. Olivieri's going to have a go. He goes by, stays 3rd.
Nakamura Berta going on to a quick lap, I reckon, because that final sector was an overall best sector for Nakamura Berta. If we talk about purple sectors, let's talk about Seb Weldon as well, because on this lap he's put an overall best in sector 3, company down there in 4th place. Thomas Behrman goes 2nd, so personal best in sectors 2 all the way through to 5, and Thomas Behrman competing in this year in the British Championship. Seb Weldon, it did stitch together, didn't it?
Yeah.
Goes top, 2:24.148, overall best in sector 3, personal best in the first and last sector. That all adds up a 2:24.148. Seb Weldon is top.
And also improving from Macau, Thiago Rodriguez, who drove in the Grand Prix last year and crashed and said, that's it, I'm retiring, I'm giving up. Well, he's come back, and he's 6th in the times, and he's improving again. Number 3, as you look at Dan Weldon's son, Sebastian, here, the late Dan Weldon. Sebastian comes down towards Lisboa, sets the car up for the right-hand. A bit of traffic up the road, which may be his undoing, but he has just done an improved first sector time, a personal best then for Sebastian. Keen Nakamura Berta, though, is also responding. 11 minutes are on the clock, and this twice interrupted session. And Keen Nakamura Berta, who is British, despite the Japanese flag, his father Japanese, and comes then now through the approach to the Melco hairpin. You forget how narrow that whole section is. You think about the hairpin being narrow, but that whole run out of Donna Maria is narrow. And very close to the wall there was Nakamura Berta, wasn't he? Down the hill he plunges, and he's done an absolute best sector 4. This is a good lap.
A really good lap as we ride on board with Keen Nakamura Berta, currently 2nd place to Sebastian Weldon in what we now have remaining 10 minutes and 40 seconds of qualifying. What can Nakamura Berta do in the final sector on the gear circuit here at Macau? We'll find out in just a couple of moments. Threads his way around so close to the wall on the exit of the corner, across the line, completes the sector. That wasn't a good final sector, was it?
No, he dropped there just about 1/10 of a second, and that was his undoing, but he's certainly brave. Thomas Behrman is 4th, having, as you said, improved last time. Just going past the pits, it is Kyuho Lee, doesn't improve. This is the car of Marcus Chung going over the line and stays 17th, although it was a better lap time. Finn McLaughlin in the back background, comes up to the timing line, goes through, and McLaughlin improves, does he? Well, he briefly went 7th, and then he's been pushed back down to 8th by Rintaro Sato.
He's doing all right. He's keeping it neat, keeping it tidy, and pressing on. He's doing 2 free practice sessions and a qualifying session, all in 40 minutes, which is an incredible thing to do for the British champion this year. And he's currently down there in 8th, really equipping himself very nicely indeed.
Thomas Behrman has come into the pit lane, as you see, little battle developing on track here. So Rodriguez, he's about to get collected, is he? Yes, there's contact, and into the barrier goes, I'm sure that is Thiago Rodriguez. And yellow flag at turn 3, and drivers being told to slow down, but this, I fear, let's see, the marshal goes to the aid, the crane hovers, and red flag. Session stopped. You could see that coming, couldn't you? As soon as those two cars started to get together down to Lisboa, and if I'm right in saying that's Thiago Rodriguez, it didn't look as though he was aware of a car around, and he's not the only one in the wall, because there's another spin that's happened around the lap. Now, who is that? Looking at the way the rear wing has been knocked askew. No, it's Gino Trapper having his 2nd accident of the day.
And it is Rodriguez. That's confirmation there. That car with deranged front wheel climbs out of the car. The marshals go to help down at Lisboa, and as they set about the job of getting the car lifted out of the way, that's the work of a moment. But Rodriguez now being told, no, you can't cross the circuit, you have to stay with us now. And yeah, he wants to press on and get off the track, doesn't he? And he's done that now, and it is the work of a moment to remove that car, which does look rather sorry for itself. Again, another situation during this qualifying session where you could almost imagine you were in a race situation, because as they barrel into Lisboa, 2 does not necessarily go awfully well. And that was a big bang, wasn't it?
Yeah, Gino Trapper having a big moment. This is the incident between Rodriguez and I think Jules Roussel on the inside. And Roussel tried to commit, and Rodriguez was adamant he wasn't going to give way, and kind of neither wanted to give way, and the net result is that Rodriguez is in the barriers. That is Gino Trapper, who is okay, but you're right, that was quite a big whack, and he inspects the damage, but there's a lot there.
Quite a bit of work is facing the team before 11:40 local time tomorrow morning, and quite a few F4 cars requiring repair work overnight.
So Sebastian Weldon is the fastest by 1/10 and a bit from Keen Nakamura Berta. Emanuele Olivieri is 3rd from Thomas Behrman. And Thiago Rodriguez was 5th, but he now, I fear, will fall down the order if they deem him to be the reason for that red flag rather than Gino Trapper and take his best lap off him. That will promote Rintaro Sato. Jules Roussel only 7th, given how well he went early on. Finn McLaughlin is 8th, Arai Bansal is 9th, and Simon Zhang is 10th. And that's Marcus Chung, who is still 17th in the times. So 9 minutes remain.
Opportunity for teams to check tyre pressures as we head into what we hope is going to be an unrestricted final 9 minutes of qualifying for the F4 cars. A fair bit of clearing up to do for the marshals down there. We've not yet got the car out the way either, so bit of work to be done down there, down in pit lane. The teams can check tyre pressures, do all those kind of things, because it is now very, very warm here at Macau. That will affect the tyre pressures, so maybe a little bit of adjustment can be done down there, and also check cars absolutely in peak performance. Team just checking Jules Roussel's car, and we talked about the school trips to Macau, and we said that they rather enjoy themselves. You don't have to take my word for it, you can see it. They were really noisy first thing this morning as they took their places in the grandstand, and they're still in fine voice. That's just lovely to see, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely superb.
They're the top 100 in cheering class. That's why they come.
Yes, they've done well. Really good. And thoroughly enjoy this event. Why would you not? There is so much to enjoy here at Macau. The build-up, all of the photographs, the media opportunities. We had so many of the drivers taking part in a local cuisine cookery lesson the other day.
That's right,
and
yes.
It was all part of the build-up to the 72nd Macau Grand Prix. The reason I know that, I wasn't aware it was taking place. I barreled into the room, chatting at normal volume, and then turned around and realised that, oh, okay, something's going on in here. Whoops.
When you were given a bowl and a chef's hat, told to join in.
You wouldn't want me to do any cooking, that's for sure. Right, 9 minutes remain on the clock for this qualifying session. Look down there at Thomas Behrmann's car, who I have to say has rather come alive during this qualifying session. We hadn't seen those sort of times from Thomas up to this point. Keen Nakamura Berta's car. That's the other side of the halo device that we see from the driver's eye view on that quite wonderful in-car shot that we're getting around the gear circuit. Yet to retrieve that car, so we're going to be a little while longer before we get this session back underway. Third red flag of this session for the Macau Formula 4 race, the FIA F4 World Cup here at Macau this year. Oliveri's car, the Italian F4 Championship and the Middle East F4 champion this year. Oliveri remains very much focused on the job in hand. Got another school as well represented here. They all dress very smartly for their day out, don't they? All in their school colours.
Which coincidentally are the colours of this year's Grand Prix, the blue and the yellow.
Yeah, they are.
Which is the uniform for many of the people involved in the event.
Car number 87 speeding in pit. They've had a few of those, haven't we?
Yeah.
In this session. That's Thomas Behrmann that's been noted for speeding in pit lane. Kimi Chan competing in the Chinese F4 Championship this year, finishing runner-up.
Was a race winner. So he's got pace, but struggling a little bit here. He's 13th, and he's not really sparkled. He's not really had a session where he's been up fighting for top spots. So the last car to be retrieved, Gino Trapper, that will be brought back. And once it's on its way, then a restart time can be offered.
How close do you feel to knowing who's going to be on pole position in 9 minutes' time?
I think it's between Weldon and Nakamura Berta at the moment. Olivieri I had high hopes for early on, but he's just not responded over the last couple of laps. But the spoiler in the pack, in a sense, is Behrmann, who has progressively got better and better and better across each session, and with now 9 minutes to go, is, as you were saying, fourth in the times, and I don't think he's done yet.
Anything can happen at Macau, and very often does. 3 red flag stoppages during this qualifying session for the Macau Formula 4 race. Wherever you are around the world, welcome to our coverage on day 2 of the 72nd Macau Grand Prix. Beautiful sunshine looks down on the gear circuit, and we're looking at Itsuki Sato sat in the car. They all remain very much focused on the job in hand, many of them visualising the circuit, and that's very much part of the driver's preparation for single-seater driving. Sebastian Weldon is at the front of the field at the moment. His time, a 2:24.148 around the gear circuit here at Macau. Nakamura Berta, Keen Nakamura Berta second, car number 51, 2:24.284. Emmanuel Oliveri is third. Thomas Behrmann really improving over the course of the 3 sessions so far today. He's come to peak performance in this qualifying session. The recovery of that car is proving to be more tricky than we at first would have thought. The car is only now just being pulled around, and it's incredible. The marshals, the course workers that work here at the Macau Grand Prix are incredibly experienced in the recovery of cars, and normal circumstances they can get the most tricky recovery completed in just a few minutes time and get the session back underway. But that one is being a little bit obstinate, isn't it?
I think part of the problem was it had come to rest in such a place that it was hard to get the ropes around it. So now the car has been swung away from the barrier. Now it can be lifted on an angle, but it was hard to get it away from the wall. And it's also quite badly deformed, isn't it? It's fairly twisted in terms of where the wing and the suspension all is now after that very solid whack. But Gino Trapper's car now just about ready to plonk down again.
Lots of work in prospect for that car, isn't there? So the car now making its way onto the back of the flatbed recovery vehicle.
He was 11th in the times. Now, the red flag was flown for Thiago Rodriguez, but whether Trapper is going to be deemed as a cause of a red flag as well, we'll wait and see. The liquid being mopped up. So, the car dropped down, back onto the flatbed, and we're not far now from getting things underway, but the speedy dry put down to soak up the liquid.
Quite a bit of liquid by the looks of things down at that corner, and you can only deal with that once you've got the car out the way, can't you, and see the real extent of how much fluid has gone down. But they're working hard. It's amazing stuff as well, isn't it, that they work into it with not only brushes but also trainers as well. So all hands to the pump down there to get things back underway.
Gino Trapper looks on, but he's rather more concerned about getting a lift back.
Can I have a lift, please?
The team, yeah. That's your Central European Zone champion then in the wars. The French champion has also had an accident in this session. So big names, big reputations are being affected somewhat here.
Look at that, clear sky and beautiful sunshine here for day 2 of the 72nd Macau Grand Prix. And now
we deserve that after last year, don't we?
Really do, yeah. This is much more traditional. This is the sort of weather we come to expect and love. And they come prepared as well, with umbrellas last year being used to keep the rain off, this year being used to shield from the sunshine. And there's plenty of it today. Absolutely beautiful day here at Macau. And a very happy crowd in the grandstands. So it's car number 7 that's being investigated for the red flag.
And that's interesting because that was Jules Roussel making the move against Rodriguez. It was Rodriguez in the wall, but they're both being looked at, and perhaps the stewards are coming down on the side of Roussel being the guilty party, and it was him, therefore, that caused the accident, that caused the stoppage. That, I suspect, might get argued by his side of the garage. However, we'll wait and see what pans out. 9 minutes are on the clock.
They've got plenty of time to argue. They don't race until 11:40 tomorrow morning. So we shall wait and see. In actual fact, there's quite a few arguments to have because there have been a lot of investigations during this qualifying session for speeding in pit lane, causing red flags, etc., etc. We've got through quite a lot in the... How long have we had of this? 31 minutes of qualifying. 9 minutes remain on the clock, and they've all got TVs down there. There's a big screen down in pit lane as well, so they can see that car has been recovered, so they know imminently we're going to get this session back underway.
And there's also one of the old traditions of Macau, which is a English language pit lane public address system to warn the teams of the countdown for the start of any session, whether it's practice or qualifying or race.
George Munro, who makes traditionally the announcements down there in the paddock. Hello, George.
And has been doing so for a long time.
Many years, yeah. Very much a feature of the soundtrack of a Macau Grand Prix weekend.
Now we are still awaiting a restart time, after which the session for F4 is followed by the Macau Grand Prix second qualifying session, and then the new style qualifying for the Macau GT Cup, the FIA GT World Cup. Let's have another look at one or two incidents that we've had. Jules Roussel, who's being looked at for causing a red flag, had done an absolute best first sector on this lap. So look, he gets a toe off Rodriguez. Look at the back of the shot. Roussel is the 4th car in the shot, now the 3rd, now the 2nd, and he wants to get past. He's got the toe, so he's got the speed. He gets up the inside, but he's just about alongside. Rodriguez moves across. Roussel, in fairness to him, gets up the curb. He tries to steer out of the contact, but he was trying to get through. He had the toe, he had the speed, and he will argue, I was quicker and I was overtaking. And he's going to be looked at after the session.
Lengthy discussion that, yeah, because you can see both sides of it, can't you? We shall wait and see what the stewards decide once qualifying is complete. And we've still got a big chunk of qualifying yet to go.
Yeah.
9 minutes.
When Roussel was fully alongside, that was when Rodriguez turned into the corner. At that point, he can't disappear. That will be his defence, I'm sure. Anyway, join us tomorrow for the first race, and we'll update the story. It will rumble on.
We'll update a few stories.
Yeah, the car park of damaged cars, which we can see out of our window, is growing all the time. Rayan Carretti's car has been joined by Thiago Rodriguez's car. And we patiently wait for action to kick back in here on the gear circuit.
Smart-looking car, aren't they? A Formula 4 car. I think they look absolutely fantastic. And with the liveries that are presented for the Macau Grand Prix, these unique liveries that are presented for this weekend, sunshine looking down on them, even though they're damaged, you can see the beauty of the shape of the racing car. I really like F4 cars.
And the British Championship particularly has had a really good season. Entries have really rocketed up, which perhaps is indicative of how single-seater racing generally is becoming stronger again, globally. So the fans continue to occupy themselves.
Noticed over the last couple of years with the British Championship, it feeling a lot more like the British F3 Championship of the 1980s and early 1990s, where talented drivers from around the world think that's the one I want to compete in. And this year, British F4 rather felt like that. We had a very international feeling on our timing screens in the UK, like we have here at Macau. We have the flags of the nations of the drivers down the left-hand side, and it was a huge mix from around the world for British F4 this year. Really good news.
And with a non-championship race at the British Grand Prix, with a Zandvoort race, there are circuits that appeal because they want to know about them for later in their careers, going to modern-day F1 venues. There's a Mexican wave sort of in the offing, I think, at Lisboa.
It's a big grandstand, that, isn't it? Absolutely huge, and everybody having a great afternoon. When you have these breaks in the activity, you can always amuse yourself in the grandstand, can't you? Super stuff.
And it's a great place to go and watch because you get the speed of the cars coming towards you, and you get the corner where there's always some drama.
And you can hear the oohs and ahs from the crowd as well when you see the videos back afterwards. So, yep, very happy. Sunshine helps, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. Although even in the rain last year, I think people were still in buoyant mood. We are about 25 seconds or so away from this session being back live, because the countdown continues, and it will be 9 remaining minutes for the surviving cars. The entry has been whittled away a little bit during the course of this. We are now at least 3 fewer than we were earlier on. And so Sebastian Weldon, Keen Nakamura Berta, Emanuele Olivieri, Thomas Behrman, not taking part Thiago Rodriguez, and Rintaro Sato is the top 6. The green flag is shown. Go, 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 say the mechanics, and it's Olivieri who scampers out first.
And they need to be careful. The cars have been down in pit lane for a little while, so you need to do the normal and get things up to temperature on this opening lap, and then set about putting in a quick lap. I wonder how much we'll see during this final 9 minutes. Do you think the order is going to shuffle too much?
It'll certainly shuffle.
Yeah.
I just hope we get through it without further drama, because there are people that want to have the capability to and need to improve.
Because these sessions are so much better when you can get into a groove. You can do a quick lap, another quick lap, another quick lap, and get into the motion of the session, really. And with 8 minutes left on the clock now, they are on the out lap. So they're only going to have a handful of laps, even if we don't get another interruption.
So, Sebastian Weldon the fastest so far. We're already down to 8 minutes, look, as the cars power up the hill. And Keen Nakamura Berta and the onboard there in the timing graphic is now making the run down towards the Solitude S's from Faraway Hill. Everybody else filed through. Finn McLaughlin this time has got a bit of traffic around him, but 8th in the times is quite a result given what he was staring at earlier on in the weekend. Gino Trapper, just out of interest, having had his accident, hence he's not taking part in the restart of the session, had done a personal best lap on the previous lap, so he was certainly pushing hard and just overstepped the mark ever so slightly, but with very serious consequences. As to Moorish Hill comes Emanuele Olivieri, being told about a slippery track surface at turn 13, which is where Trapper dropped it. Donna Maria, the corner that brings you round towards the Melco hairpin of turn 19, and down the hill from the hairpin they plunge, heading towards the start area and then onto a flying lap.
And this is the completion of the outlap from pit lane, and we have had multiple stoppages during this qualifying session for the F4 race, the Macau Formula 4 race this year. It is the FIA F4 World Cup as well here at Macau, on board with Keen Nakamura Berta, currently lying second, and on to the first of the flying laps after the resumption. They're not going to get many laps, are they, because we are now 6 minutes just over of the session remaining, so we can't afford for another stoppage in this qualifying session. So please, 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 keep it neat, keep it tidy, and maybe we can get a couple of meaningful laps in this closing stages of qualifying.
So Keen Nakamura Berta arrives at Lisboa, goes down through the gears, rides the curb a little on the inside, nicely through the corner, but not an improvement within that first sector, so no improvement in the time. Pushing on, climbs San Francisco Hill, past the hospital, past the apartments on the left-hand side as well. Flicks right, down through the gears, brake hard, flick left, avoid the concrete, avoid the barrier, and then a sharper corner at Maternity Bend. Down the hill he drops, heading towards Teddy Yip corner, which is coming up, which is there, and then there's the run to Faraway Hill, and then down towards Moorish. But very, very few people are doing much by way of an improvement, so it's the next lap thereafter where tyres should be back up to temperature. Keen Nakamura Berta comes a little bit sideways there through the approach to Moorish, a little touch of oversteer, but he gets the car turned in nicely there. Up through turn 16 and up the climb towards Donna Maria, which tilts you slightly to the left, ever so slightly, back to the big snap of oversteer there, and he's right up against the barrier. Keen Nakamura Berta, I think he would have grazed it, but it looks like he might have got away with that.
That would be described as a kiss of the barrier, and may have got away with that.
Yes. As kisses go.
Yes.
Yeah. Blimey. Well, it's certainly not affecting him, is it? He's continuing to press on, but hardly anybody is improving in sectors on this lap. It is the next one that's going to be all important, and Nakamura Berta now, if the car did graze the wall, it might just be ever so slightly out of kilter. So let's see how it's going to handle down towards our bend. Again, it's a bit of a fight, isn't it, to get the car turned in. Up towards the timing line he goes. And that's a 2:26.6. That's about 2 seconds down on his earlier best.
Let's see what this lap is going to be, because they've had the out lap, they've had that one quick lap as well.
Oh no, another one in the wall is Rintaro Sato. And that's going to be a red flag, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yep.
So that was one flying lap for a handful of drivers. And
not even a meaningful flying lap, was it? As
No.
you were saying about Nakamura Berta. So
it's our 4th stoppage of the session.
It is.
It's a big hit.
Quite a clomp, wasn't it?
Yeah, and a secondary impact, but that's too much speed carried through the corner. I think that's Thomas Behrman, isn't it, having to dodge through. Session won't be resumed. So that's your lot. Sebastian Weldon is the fastest, and Keen Nakamura Berta second, Rintaro Sato sixth, but he's just caused a red flag, so he's going to lose his best lap time by way of penalty. Good news is he's okay, but a lot of damage has been done to that car. Standing there dutifully on the wall above the car, which needs to be recovered, and I feel very sorry for him actually, standing up there and watching everybody else come through. Now it's okay to hop down and run across the circuit and get to a place of safety, but yeah, car number 30 causing a red flag, Rintaro Sato, and that's a disappointing way to finish qualifying, isn't it? I didn't get the opportunity to put those meaningful laps in right at the end of qualifying. Very frustrating for everybody concerned. The first half of the session ran well, didn't it? But then as soon as you get one interruption, it seems to rattle drivers. Oh, need to push. Yeah. And, you know, Rintaro Sato had been going well, 6th fastest, but building up to a fast lap. Tell you what, the Min Times team are going to be very, very busy, because there are at least 4 cars that need a lot of work. 5 cars that need a lot of work. Yeah. Blimey. Could we bookend the story of Finn McLaughlin as well? The floor is yours. Because he didn't compete in FP1, he didn't compete in FP2, tried to compete in both of them, but the car just wasn't playing. So he came out for qualifying, and he came out with no real world laps around the Macau gear circuit, and he's qualified in 8th. I think that's not bad. I still think he will rise through the qualifying race. Yeah. No, it's been very, very impressive, that, from an early gentle sighting lap to then build the confidence. He has truly been a flying Finn over the course of that session. Rintaro Sato is under investigation for causing a red flag. Well, there's not a lot to investigate. Wall, car, red flag. Red flag. Yeah. Guilty. So he loses his best. That's the decider, isn't it, really, when the red flag comes out? I'm not entirely sure the car had stopped before the red flag was thrown that time. There was no question about it. And the lap time is indeed deleted for causing a red flag. I'm getting these messages on the timing screen, and that's why the session was stopped. That's what's left of Rintaro Sato's car, so the jacks will go under it to lever it away from the concrete, and then it can be scooped up. And F4 qualifying is done, and we look forward to the first of their races, which is going to be tomorrow, the F4 qualification race, 8 laps, and then the main race for the World Cup itself is going to be a 10-lap race on Sunday. Sebastian Weldon then takes pole position for the qualifying race from Keen Nakamura Berta and Emanuele Olivieri. Thomas Behrman 4th from Thiago Rodriguez and Jules Roussel, who's under investigation. Finn McLaughlin 7th, ahead of Rintaro Sato, who loses his best lap and drops to 8th from Arai Bansal and Simon Zhang. 11th, also with a damaged car, Gino Trapper from Lee Ki-hu and then Kimi Chan. Itsuki Sato 14th from Rayan Caretti, Emily Cotti, Marcus Chung with Alexandra Munoz crashing out to be 18th, and it is Wang Yuzhe 19th. Sebastian Weldon celebrates pole position for the qualifying race for the FIA Formula 4 World Cup.